What up, world? My bad for the files deleting in episode 372, not being able to upload, so we're going to do issues. I hope all is well on this Wednesday, June 15, 2022. Here goes episode 372 reshoots. We're just going to jump right into the news. Pittsburgh Steelers extend safety Minka Fitzpatrick for 4 years, $73 million. $36 million guaranteed, and he will be making $18.4 a season. He is now considered the highest paid safety in NFL history. I think he deserved this deal. Thought it was going to come last year, but I know that kind of the Steelers, there was a little backlog of things with Big Ben's contract being restructured, different money flowing different places, but it finally got done, and Minka is most likely gonna retire as a Steeler. I think. I don't see him going anywhere else. We gotta look at how old he's going to be after this deal, which I think I'll find out. It's 25, so he will getting ready to be 29, getting ready to be 30, coming into a third contract. I don't see why the Steelers would get rid of him. I mean, barring like injury or horrible play, but he's one of the best safeties in the league, and that's why the Steelers brass decided to pay him as such. Bryson DeChambeau, one of my favorite golfers, so always in bullshit, man. Says that he has no plans to play in the PGA Travelers Championship amid the LIV scrutiny. Friday, the LIV announced Bryson DeChambeau's signing, even though he has yet to relinquish his PGA membership, which is a little confusing to me because I thought if you were an LIV golfer, LIV League is backed by the Saudi Arabians. Don't know too much about that yet, but we'll get into that soon. So I was under the impression a couple of days ago when 17 golfers were kicked out of the Canadian Open that they were disqualified for competing in the rest of the PGA events, and I believe they said that too. But just why is this case different? Who knows? The ones who like to bet on golf, Scotty Scheffler fans, yeah. They need to be not relaxed. Like, you guys need to be on ease because Rory McIlroy, who's fresh off of the Canadian Open win, is now the consensus favorite to win the U.S. Open this week, says the Vegas sportsbook. Last I checked, that was still true. And with those 17 golfers getting taken off, there's really I don't see his challenge really. Phil Mickelson's not there, and Sergio Garcia and Lazi Swa. So how's he commenting on the LIV golfers not facing proper competition if most of the competition that was in the PGA were those 17 golfers that moved over? It doesn't make any sense to me. Minnesota Twins look to continue their recent success as they get ready to play a hot and cold Seattle Mariners team. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That game been over about 8. Notre Dame coach and Ohio State alum Marcus Freeman walks back comments that he made Friday about Ohio State's education, saying that kids can't cheat their academics at Notre Dame, which is true. After outlining differences between Notre Dame, Ohio State, and Cincinnati, where he worked as an assistant from 2007 to 2010, individually in all those schools, I don't know, okay with this comment, really. It's kind of like true. Notre Dame is known for their academics. Ohio State's just a place where kids who are good at football go for 3 years. Tampa Bay Lightning's Braden Point returns to the team. Fucking finally. After missing 2 playoff series with a lower body injury suffered in the first round by the Toronto Maple Leafs on May 14th. It's good to get him back just in time for the Stanley Cups. Still think that Colorado's going to win the series, but with point back, that definitely gives you a chance. You feel a little bit more comfortable about winning. Anyway, there goes news. On to the NFL 32 and 32. The Denver Broncos. This is our second to last stop in the league, and let me give you my take on them. 17-game season was kind of like here and there for the Broncos. They started out strong, rattling off three straight wins. I know it was against the Giants, Jags, and Jets, but as promised, Vic Fangio's defense looked like the fucking wrecking ball that it normally is, that it was when he was the coordinator with the Chicago Bears. That was until the following month in October. Horrible. Denver went 0-4. The defense fell apart, to be honest with you, too. And they were regarded as one of the more solid units in the league, really. The core of Vic Fangio's system is still intact, meaning the players he drafted and the new defensive coordinator that came in is kind of running the same scheme, obviously with different verbiage. So there's not much of a learning curve for that defense. Expect them to still be attacking from every which way and having guys slide over, move their zones just when you think there's an open spot, and then boom, you throw an interception. So yes, Vic Fangio was fired. Broncos went 7-10 in the regular season. It was good enough for last place in the AFC West, but they're hungry. They draft very well last year too. Former UNC Tar Heel Javonte Williams looks to show us what he was able to do in college at that level, rattling off over 1,300 yard or more seasons, scoring at least 12 touchdowns on the ground, 2 in the air. He's primed for a big year, kinda. He dealt with injuries last year. Really like lack of playing time because Melvin Gordon was kind of the guy and he wasn't hurt. There were 2 guys already ahead of him, so. As far as your quarterback situation goes, other than Russell Wilson, who they received in a trade, let's see if they could possibly grab a solid number 2 to back him up, because hey, you never know. And that offensive line over there in Denver is a big fucking question mark. GM George Patton and the rest of the Broncos higher-ups did enough to surround Dangerous with a decent team. Now let's see what they did in the draft. Really quickly, footnote. Denver's first pick was 64th overall, by the way. They traded ample draft capital in order to get the quarterback they wanted. It's Wilson. And because of this, I'd say the odds are pretty fucking high that GM George Patton wasn't going to be able to duplicate the success that he has had drafting in recent years. Award-winning success. So here we go. Second round, 64th overall. One of my favorite players. Oklahoma Sooners, Nick Benito, edge rusher, linebacker, D. Just about played 50% of his snaps on either side. Great pick here, and I truly believe that Nick would have definitely been one of Vic Fangio's favorites. This guy can blitz. He's got great vision as far as, the running stunts, fake blitz and stuff like that. 6'3", 249 pounds with a 4.5 yard 40. And as an explosive playmaker is usually making things hell for anybody in the backfield. He has a lot in his tool belt, a lot of different moves that he beats guys with, especially when he was moved inside, which I thought that he's not exactly a nose tackle, so I thought maybe he might get swallowed up in there, or if at worst just like pushed out of the play. But he holds his own when he is inside, sacking the quarterback 6 times in his collegiate career in that way. He's definitely going to give the coordinators, coaches, and everybody on the opposition nightmares the day before game, especially when he gets into a rhythm, gets that first career sack. It's a great pick here. Honestly, he fits what they like to do, and I would think that he is the Von Miller replacement. Yeah, there we go. Let's go for it. Third round, 80th overall, Craig Dulcich, tight end out of UCLA. He was on my top 10 list, obviously. Top 10 tight end here. I love his game. It's like a slow creep though. Like he doesn't have blazing speed. He's just gonna bust down and create mismatches that way. He has to work up to that, but his hands, ball skills, the fight that he puts up for the contested catch, he really does a good job at that. Here's some beastie shit right here. Listen to this. As a senior in high school, he caught 50 receptions, 50, for 1,168 yards and 12 touchdowns, 3 rushing scores to add to that. That's fucking crazy. That was definitely a tight end who was vertical, who attacked the field deep. Kind of like Tony Gonzalez did with the Kansas City Chiefs back in the 90s. Anyway, 12 tuds, 3 rushes. As for his career at UCLA, he was a walk-on, so it wasn't guaranteed that he was going to make this team. He had to work hard and grind. He played 3 games as a freshman. 2019, he saw more playing time, but it was mostly on special teams, although he did see some time as a receiver, but only received about 6 or 7 targets. And he blocked fairly well, too, so... scored his first touchdown in the Rose Bowl, 3 catches, 37 yards, and the lone scorer in the eventual loss to the San Diego State Aztecs in 2020. He was 20 years old when the NCAA informed Greg that he was put on scholarship, which was obviously a sigh of relief for him. He had a breakout year followed, but it was kind of like shortened by the COVID season of 2020. 26 catches, 517 yards, and 5 touchdowns, and led the team in reception yards and tuds for the COVID shortened season. Special stat though, his 19.8 yards per catch and 79.3 yards a game were second among all receiving tight ends in the nation. So this guy is really proven, has the track to be a vertical tight end, a guy who's going to get those longer passes. So like I said, he might not have that top end speed like receivers have, but he's definitely a worthy target. Like I said, it was second among tight ends nationally. Add to the fact that he was targeted 18 times in that COVID season, and he came down with 9 catches for 321 yards and 4 touchdowns. Just the deep balls, like it's like he's a mismatch. That strong safety doesn't follow him when he cuts on, let's say, like a flag route or something like that. He's gone. It's a touchdown. He does the dirty work on the deep ball. I think he'll be a matchup problem for a few of the NFL's slower, weak side linebackers as well. Safeties that are sitting there waiting to make the play, thinking that it's a run, might have got fooled. And again, I will stress that he is fast by no stretch of the word. Fourth round, 115th overall, Damari Mathis, a corner for the Pitt Panthers. Another guy I kind of looked at when I was looking at the draft hopefuls for the defensive back group. As if the Broncos didn't need another blazing fast, overly physical corner whose traits scream cover 2. Maybe a reissue of legendary cornerback Champ Bailey. I might be saying a little too much early, though I'm sure the 40-yard isn't the same like Champ's legendary 4.28-yard 40, whose first name, unbeknownst to me until Tuesday, was like Rose Ramel or something like that. Something that threw me off. Anyways, Damari's very physical, in your face all the time. Got his hands up as soon as that ball's hiked. He started his career playing in 9 games, mostly on special teams. He played in all 13 of Pitt's games in the following season with 10 starts as a junior. It's pretty good. 23 tackles, 11 deflections, and 2 picks. Suffering a non-football injury, which was kind of weird. Prior to his senior season, he smartly used a medical red shirt, which would allow him another year of playing time. Saved by the bell, pretty much. In his final season as a Panther, he recorded 44 tackles, 6 deflections, and 2 interceptions. That tackle number for a corner is pretty good because that's not just wideouts. That's dude coming up and sticking his nose in there and getting after it in the run game too. That's definitely evident of that. One of those interceptions was a pick 6, his very first collegiately. At the conclusion of his senior season, redshirted, he played in the Senior Bowl, was drafted, I think, to eventually start at some point this year. All the secondaries in the division had to load up because not only do you have Patrick Mahomes and what he's able to do and how the Chiefs are going to spread the ball this year, but you got Russell Wilson coming to Denver, another guy who likes to throw it all up and down the field. So these secondaries need be stocked with decent players. That's my opinion anyway. 4th round, 116th overall, Ioma Uwazuriki. I fucked your name up, sorry. Defensive lineman out Iowa State, played for the Cyclones. Don't know much about him. 5th round, 152nd overall, DeLarmin Turner Yell, safety out of Oklahoma. I think if he would have stayed in school 2 more years, this guy could have eventually been potential first-round talent. He's a great tackler. His combination of speed, strength, and football IQ and know-how, being in the right spot at the right time, it all comes together and usually ends in a vicious fucking hit. That is DeLarmin Turner Yell out of Oklahoma. 5th round, 162nd overall, Montreal Washington, wide out for Samford. Well, a couple things about him. I know he is Samford's all-time leading wide receiver. Outside of that, didn't make the top 10 lists, wasn't in the top 25, but I believe he's still somebody that could make this roster, and that takes stress off of teams when they cover Jerry Jeudy, not Noah Fant anymore because Noah Fant got traded in the Russell Wilson trade. So yeah, it takes some of the attention off Jerry, and boom, here is Montreal, Washington. 5th round, 171st overall, Luke Wattenberg, offensive lineman from Washington State, Huskies. Always good to stock up on that O-line. 6th round, 206 overall, Matt Henningsen, DTDE combo from the Wisconsin Badgers. And 7th round, 232nd overall, Lazon Hicks, a corner from Wisconsin. Wow, so it's pretty all defensive except for 2 picks here in their final 6. So that is the Denver Broncos draft. I think they did all right. They answered the quarterback question, obviously, with the Russell Wilson trade. They got better along the defensive line with Nick Bonito, their first pick. Noah Fant got traded in the Russell Wilson deal, and they drafted a decent, very, very decent tight end in Greg Dulcich. I think I'd give them a B. They didn't really need a running back. Maybe could have went left guard, something like that. So looking at it now, I think that they would plug in Luke Wattenberg at one of those spots, and then rotate, with the need of an injury or somebody needs to switch, whatever. And to add to all this, the team also signed 13 college free agents directly after the draft. So Denver's got an infusion of youth, and they are ready to make their presence felt, get back to the playoffs, and potentially take first place in the AFC West. I don't know, though, because the Chiefs have won it 6 years running, and they're looking like they're going to do it in 7. So yeah, that's it for that. WNBA, Washington over Phoenix, 85-83. And Seattle over Minnesota, 81-79. NHL, Stanley Cup Finals, Tampa Bay versus Colorado, Game 1, 8 p.m. This is a reshoot, so you kind of already know that. That's it for the NHL. On to Western Mass Sports. We are going to start with girls lacrosse. Division 1 quarterfinals, Walpole over Longmeadow, 6-4. That's it for the girls' side. On to the boys. I'm going to start with lacrosse too. Division 2 quarters, Duxbury over Minnesota, 10-5. Division 4 quarterfinals, Wacona over Linfield, 22-7. And that is it for Western Mass Sports. Now we are on to Major League Baseball. Doubleheader for the Cardinals and the Pirates. Cardinals took both games. First one was 3-1. Second one was 9-1. Atlanta 10, Washington 4. Boston 6, Oakland 1. Miami 11, Philadelphia 9. Yankees 2, Tampa Bay nothing. Damn, fucking Yankees keep winning. Baltimore 6, Toronto 5. Chicago White Sox 5, Detroit Tigers 1. Mets 4, Milwaukee Brewers 0. Houston 4, Texas 3. And of course, everybody left the Houston Nationals alone. San Diego 12, Chicago Cubs 5, Cleveland 4, Colorado 3. Cincy 5, Arizona 3, and San Fran over Kansas City Royals 4-2. Two more games, sorry. In the first game for the Battle of LA, we have the Dodgers over the Angels 2-0, and Seattle over Minnesota 5-2. Mariners might make the playoffs. I'm just saying. And that is it. Episode 372 is done. Rahim Maskalai. Love you all, wishing nothing but health, wealth, and success. And thank you for all your continued support of the show. Come see us over there on YouTube, 48 subscribers, and on Facebook as well. I'll see y'all tomorrow morning.